The Afanc is a creature of legend from Wales. It is a monster said to live in the deep, dark waters of certain lakes. For hundreds of years, people have shared stories about this beast, passing its scary reputation down through families. The name itself, Afanc, sounds old and like it belongs to the Welsh land. The monster's home is not just one place. Instead, it is said to live in several different pools and rivers. Llyn Llion, Llyn Barfog, Llyn Yr Afanc, Llangors Lake. These bodies of water are often quiet and far away, tucked among the rolling hills and tough mountains of the Welsh countryside. The stories change depending on the spot, but the main part of the legend stays the same. A dangerous being hides under the water. The changing places of the creature's home show how much fear there was. It wasn't just one monster in one lake, but a type of danger that could show up in any deep, dark water. This uncertainty made the Afanc a strong symbol of unknown natural danger. For the people who lived near these lakes, the water gave them life, providing fish and water to drink. But it was also a place of danger. The Afanc story was a strong warning. People believed the creature caused floods or pulled people down into the deep. The fear was simple and deep. The water could be a place of death, and the Afanc was the name for that terrible chance. The lakes themselves make the myth stronger. Welsh lakes, or leans, are often very deep and can look black even on a sunny day because of the dark dirt around them. This dark, impossible-to-see surface makes it easy to think something old and big could be hidden below. The quietness, broken by wind or a bird's cry, adds to the mystery. When people tried to describe the Afanc, their stories were very different. There was no single, agreed-upon picture of the monster, which made it even more scary. Some of the oldest stories show it as a creature that looks like a huge beaver, much bigger than any normal animal of that kind. This description links the monster to the natural world, but turns a familiar animal into something monstrous. The Welsh word Afanc actually means beaver, which suggests the legend might have come from seeing an unusually large or aggressive beaver, its features exaggerated over time. In other versions, the Afanc looks more like a reptile, like a giant crocodile, a creature not from Wales, making it seem strange and terrifying to people of the past. This image suggests a powerful hunter with strong jaws and tough skin, able to drag large animals or people into its watery home. A third description paints the Afanc as devilish, a dwarf-like man who lives in water, or a demon in a monster's shape. It becomes a mean spirit of the water, a moral warning tied to the forces of darkness. These different descriptions, a giant beaver, a crocodile, a dwarf, a demon, show how myths can change. The Afanc was a way for people to show their fears about the water. It could take on any shape that seemed scary. It might have the body of a beaver, the head of a crocodile, and the cleverness of a demon, a terrible mix of features. The lack of a clear picture meant anyone's worst thought could be the monster's true face. This unclear nature has allowed the Afanc to last for so long, changing its form but never losing its power to scare. One of the saddest and most touching stories about the Afanc involves a brave young maiden. In this tale, the monster had become a terrible problem. It would leave its lake, causing floods that destroyed crops and drowned farm animals. Its presence filled the valley with fear and no one could stop it. The strongest tried to catch and kill the beast, but all failed. A village maiden, whose heart was full of pity, decided to try a different way. She believed that kindness, not force, might be the only way to calm the wild beast. She went to the water's edge and sang a lullaby. The sound floated across the lake, and soon the great head of the Afanc appeared, charmed, and came to shore. In a strange peace, it laid its head upon the maiden's lap and slept. Seeing their chance, villagers quietly came out with heavy iron chains, carefully binding the sleeping monster to drag it to a remote mountain lake. But the plan went terribly wrong. The chains woke the Afanc. It roared in fury and thrashed. In that awful moment, it crushed the gentle maiden. The enraged monster was dragged away, and victory was marked by her loss. In the famous Mabinogion, a different kind of hero faces the monster. Here, the creature is called the Addanc, another name for the Afanc. The story is part of the adventures of Peredur, a young man who wants to become a great knight. He arrives at a strange palace, learns of a terrible curse. Each day, the Addanc leaves its cave and kills the three leaders with poisoned darts. The maidens wash them in warm water, and by morning they live again, only to be killed again. No one can stop it until Peredur promises to end the curse. A wise queen warns the Addanc is invisible and gives him a seeing stone that reveals it. Armed with stone and spear, he enters the darkness and looks through the gem. He finally sees the creature, and without waiting, throws his spear with all his might. The spear strikes true. He takes its head as proof. The curse is broken. The victory was foretold, and Peredur becomes a legendary hero. The legend of the Afanc is so old and powerful it even became mixed with King Arthur. In one version, the Afanc of Llyn Barfog caused destruction, and locals begged the king for help. Arthur answered. He brought his knights and his mighty horse to the lake, making the Afanc a threat worthy of a legendary king. Arthur did not kill it. He and his men caught and dragged it out. It took all their strength. The key was Arthur's horse, Lamrai. Lamrai, strong and brave, pulled the monster onto land. The struggle left a mark. Near Llyn Barfog is Carn March Arthur, the stone of Arthur's horse, with a deep hoof print locals say is Lamrai's. The rock is treated as proof, a link between legend and the real world. In this telling, the Afanc was dragged to Llyn Ffynnon Las, the lake of the Blue Fountain, and locked up. The tale emphasizes control and order, fitting for a great king. The Afanc story is deeply woven into Welsh culture, and you can find it in the names on the map. The language describes the land. Llyn means lake. Llyn yr Afanc means the lake of the Afanc. Names show how closely the creature was linked to specific waters in people's minds. The Afanc sits within a broader tradition of water spirits, Gwragedd and Dublin, including beautiful maidens and monstrous beings. These stories had practical use, warnings to be careful around dangerous waters. A deep lake, a fast-moving river, a muddy swamp, and a monster made people treat these places with respect. Details like Lamrai's hoof and Peredur's stone are vital to Welsh storytelling. Tangible anchors for wonder. Magical objects and physical signs make extraordinary tales feel close, even historical. Shared on long, dark evenings, the Afanc, danger, bravery, sacrifice, and nature's power bound communities to their land and values. When we look for reasons behind the Afanc, we consider what people might have seen. One guess is an unfamiliar real animal. Imagine a platypus-like creature, perhaps larger, in ancient Welsh lakes. The platypus is an egg-laying mammal with a duck-like bill and a beaver-like tail. Early Europeans thought it a stitched-together trick. If a similar, unknown monotreme or odd water mammal existed in Wales, rare sightings could spark monster tales. Territorial behavior, especially a mother defending young, could seem monstrous. A quick glimpse and a dive can fuel legends. There's no fossil proof for a Welsh platypus, but Earth's history holds many strange, now-vanished creatures. Memory could linger in stories, features exaggerated with each telling. This ties myth to nature, a misunderstood animal, not a demon, an idea of cryptozoology. Unlikely but fascinating and respectful of witnesses. Another explanation looks to fossils. Whales once lay beneath ancient seas, home to huge marine reptiles. Plesiosaurs and pliosaurs, like the fearsome pliosaur often called Kronosaurus, had crocodile-like heads and powerful bodies. Imagine someone long ago finding a large fossil jutting from a cliff or riverbank. Without geology, they'd see a monster's skeleton, long, sharp teeth as terrifying proof. They might think it still lived, hiding in the deepest lake. The shapes could inspire crocodile-like Afanc descriptions. The long neck of a plesiosaur, the massive jaws of a pliosaur. A partial find could spawn tales of a huge water beast. Bones became proof. stories passed down, rooted in a strange discovery. This links myth and science. Ancient people were the first fossil hunters, finding deep-time secrets and explaining them with legend. The Afanc may echo the age of reptiles. In the end, whether the Afanc was a misunderstood animal, a folk memory of a fossil, or simply a warning story, its tale continues to keep us interested. The legend matters because it connects us to the past, people who lived with more mystery and shadow. Their fears of dark water are universal. The Afanc gives name and shape to that fear, something to be told, faced, and, in tales of heroes like Peredur, overcome. The lakes themselves are characters, keepers of secrets, silent watchers of legendary events. Visit these waters, and the air still feels thick with the chants of myth. Stand at the edge and feel the weight of centuries. The Afanc, brave maidens, mighty kings, strange beasts, is more than a monster tale. It is about courage, loss, and the wish to bring order to a messy world. Stories teach caution and bravery. They keep heroes, sacrifices, and values alive. Next time you face still, dark water, think of the Afanc. Was it a deer in moonlight? An ancient bone? Or something stranger? The lake keeps its secrets. In that quiet, we pause, look into the depths, and leave a space for wonder.